So hope all of you joined the YouTube link of inauguration from the AICT. It was Jaswinder ji has given a very good lecture. So now, on the behalf of Electronics Engineering Department, NIT Sultanpur, I welcome all of you for this FDP for modern simulation techniques for engineering research. So today, our first technical lecture is by the Professor Sandeep Kumar. One more thing that some of you requested for joining with different mail ID. So if you or anyone of your fellow participants want to join with different mail ID which is not registered here for the AICT portal, so please mail me separately today only. Then I will add into the meeting link, and after today it will be not possible for me to add the such mail ID. Okay. So now we are waiting for our expert Sandeep ji. Hello Sandeep ji.
Namaskar sir. How are you?
Okay, very good afternoon to all of you. Now we have Dr. Sandeep Kumar ji from IIT Roorkee. Dr. Sandeep Kumar is currently working as an associate professor in the Department of Computer Science and Engineering, Indian Institute of Technology, IIT Roorkee. He has supervised 4 PhD theses and about 40 master dissertation. He has published about 60 research papers in international national journals and conferences, and written 3 books and some book chapters with Springer, and has filed 5 patents IPRs. He is the member of Board of Studies of various universities and institutions. He is currently handling multiple national and international research consultancy projects. He has received Outstanding Faculty Award from IIT Roorkee, Young Faculty Research Fellowship Award from MIT, NSF, TCPP, Early Adopter Award 2014, 2015, ITS Travel Awards, and others. He was recently invited as panelist in Vaibhav Summit of Government of India. His area of interest include semantic web services, and software engineering. He is a senior member of IEEE as well as ACM. So now I request Professor Sandeep ji to kindly join us and start his lecture.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. So first of all, thanks to Professor Harsh Vikram Singh, sir. So thanks for inviting me so that I am able to share my thoughts with all of you. Am I audible to all? Can anybody confirm? Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you. So thanks to Professor Singh as well as his team, who is able to have this timely discussion as far as the current COVID situation is concerned. Since about more than 1 year, I will say 1.5 years, we are facing so many challenges as a faculty member. So in this course, basically, as I can see, there are some keywords. One is the role of simulators. And if you will see the role of simulators in the current era, in the current pandemic, then it has increased multifold. because I cannot say that it was not useful in the offline mode. Yes, it was useful, very much useful in the offline mode also, even for handling and simulating the safety critical systems basically. That was very much useful, and the situations and environments where the real-time applications and experiments cannot be performed, in those cases also it was very much useful. But in the current pandemic situation, the role of simulators has increased multifold, because that is one of the media, that is one of the tool that can help us to teach the students in many possible scenarios, in many possible cases where the conventional methodology of teaching is not possible. So I will discuss about all these things today. I am sharing my screen now. Yes, I hope my screen is visible to all of you. Yes, is it visible?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. So basically, if we will look upon this course is very important from the perspective of a teacher, and secondly important from the perspective of a research scholar as well, because ultimately many times research scholars are doing a lot of work with the students as a teaching assistant, as well as most of the time you have to do a lot of activities which we cannot do in the practical, in the real-time scenario with the help of simulations. And in the current scenario, it has really increased. I can give you many such examples if you look upon these things. Like when you are doing research in IoT, or when you are developing some Android application, right? So in the scenario when we were sitting in the labs and we were having the infrastructure, we were able to meet in...
Sandeep, your PPT is not visible.
Oh, it's not visible. Okay. I'm sharing it again, sir. Yes, is it visible now?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Now it's visible.
Okay.
How
Thank you.
visible?
Now it's visible. Is it visible now?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you. So, as I was discussing, that there are many possible scenarios in which the role of simulators come into picture, and that is not only helpful in the academic teaching but also in the research. Right. So that's why it is very important point. So as we will see in this course, you will have many different lectures from many people who will be sharing your experience, their experiences with you, and you will also be sharing your thoughts with the other audiences. So I think this is the first discussion that is happening with all of you, right? So I will touch some of very basic things, and that will make the platform for the use of simulators for your further discussions, as well as for some of the discussions that I will do in the second half of this lecture. So one thing that is very important in all this discussion, right, whenever you are talking about the online era of learning, I will say it's not only teaching or it's overall learning. In those cases, very important point is the like motivation and encouragement, enthusiasm that you have for using this. It's very important. There are many possibilities, many technical interventions which are possible to teach and to learn and to do research work. But the importance is of motivation. How much motivated we are, how much motivated our students are. As a teacher, how much motivated we are to teach them, or how much we are able to find out the possible technological uses that can be that can be transferred, that can help us to transfer the knowledge of theoretical works as well as laboratory work to the student is very important. And as many of you will know, कि जैसे हम लोग नॉर्मली बोलते हैं आवश्यकता ही आविष्कार की जननी है, right? It is very famous phrase that is being used. So since almost more than 1 year we are able to explore so many new things in discussion with many other faculty members, that how to deal with the delivery of content, basically the delivery of labs to the student, to the delivery of different laboratories. One thing that is very important is that most of the things that I will be sharing with you is from some of my online teaching experiences, classroom experiences, some of our research papers as well, and like I had some projects as well on educational technology, which was shared with the USA National Science Foundation and Georgia State University. So most of the things that I will be discussing with you is based on that one. So that's why more or less I will not be discussing the things that is very bookish. I will be discussing just like a common people, that how I am facing the things, how we can handle the issues, that how I try to handle that. That's why it is just the experience report that I will be sharing with you, that how I am dealing, how you are dealing, you can share with me. Right, so if you are feeling any time in between that there is some problem and you are not able to listen me, then you can easily interrupt me, right? You can anytime tell me that yes, you are not able to understand what I am saying, there is some audio problem, or all these issues are there, you can interrupt me. Most important thing, that if any time you want to give your input, then you are very much encouraged to give that input. I will be happy to have your input. I will not only be happy, basically I will encourage you that you should give your input. That will be really helpful to me and will be really helpful to the other audiences as well. Right, so one thing is that, yeah, it should not be one way in discussions. I will expect that you are having the equal interaction, right? So can anybody tell me how many of you are discussing about the challenges that you are facing in the online teaching with your friends or colleagues? Can anybody tell me? One thing should be clear, it's not a lecture, it's not one-way lecturing, right? It's basically a discussion. All of us are faculty colleague, right? You might be having more experiences in handling the situation than me. So it will be better if you are sharing those experiences with the others. Professor Harsh Vikram Singh has provided us a platform where we can interact with each other and we can share our thoughts. At the end of the day, there might be some useful observations that all of us will be bringing to our teaching in future classes. And even in many cases, we can come up with a new educational technology methodology that we can that all of you can publish. Right? There are so many things that can happen. I have seen in the past as well. Right? One of the projects that we had with NSF, that was just based on the educational technology only, that how we are doing the teaching, how we can improve, what are the different works that can be done to improve the teaching. So that was research-oriented teaching that we devised. We published a couple of papers on that. And it was very good, high-quality SCI journals, Q1 ranked. And then we got a good funding for that work. So it's teaching plus research that is happening these days in these type of workshops, where you are provided a platform in which you are doing the introspection and then discussion with the other colleagues, and then coming up with a lot of problems and solutions, different scenarios, how to handle those scenarios. Both things are happening in these workshops. So this is such a beautiful form, beautiful platform where you can do a lot of things in these like I think it is a 1 week or 2 week workshop. So that's why I will request all of you to participate in the discussions. So can anybody tell me how many of you have discussed about the challenges that you are facing in online teaching with your friends or colleagues on phone or chat? Whenever you are discussing, might be any other thing. I am not saying that you call a friend especially for this purpose. You call a friend or even your brother or sister or even your parents for some other purpose, but in between you started talking about the teaching and then the call was disconnected after a discussion of 1 hour, and most of the discussion was about the challenges that you are facing in teaching. Sometimes the a lot of frustration that you are having, oh, I'm fed up with the online teaching, I am having this problem, students are not listening to us, students are not following properly, this issue, that issue. Yeah, how many of you?
Uh, can I maybe
Yes, yes,
share
please.
a few thoughts about this?
Yes, yes, please, please. You are most
Uh,
welcome.
my name is Dr. Sanjeev Sansgiri. I am professor and head of the Department of Mechanical Engineering in Army Institute of Technology, which
Okay.
is an institution in Pune. I'm currently working from home, so uh, initially, when this whole thrust began, obviously we are 100% residential college.
Great,
So
great.
about 1,300 students, and then somewhat there we had to send everybody back. Um, I'm sure everyone has gone through the same debates, and we started exploring different platforms.
Yes,
We
yes, true.
explored Google Meet. We looked at Zoom. We looked at WebEx. There's also a very sophisticated platform called Engaged Learning Online,
Right.
uh, ELO platform. Amazing. You see all these reality shows. Uh, we can go all that elaborate. Now, uh, after exploring, we eventually froze our platform as Microsoft Teams. And for
Okay,
last year and a half, 2 years, that's the platform we've been using. A
great.
couple of advantages to it is our email and ERP also is integrated in Microsoft 360. So getting the calendars and the teams and then channels, etc., organized in Microsoft Teams was a lot more easier than exploring other environments. I'm not going to say Meet or WebEx or Zoom are bad, but Teams is working out great for me.
Yes,
Now,
yes.
you talk about challenges. The faculty initially, of course, uh, had some growing up to do, and some of us were already familiar about having net meetings. I mean, we used to have them 20, 25 years ago in the United States, and even here, because it was easier to have meetings with our customers. I being from the industry predominantly, it was just a seamless transition.
Yes, yes,
Many
yes,
of my
yes.
colleagues also were integrated into a video meeting or a net meeting, so it happened. But some of the challenges were the following: when people were at home, Pune has very erratic electricity.
Okay.
So many households had not invested into inverters or such backup, uninterrupted power supplies, and so on. So that was required. Oftentimes, people just leverage hotspot on the mobile phone and were operating maybe just emails, and
Right,
everything was
right.
happening at the office front. So now
Yeah.
you needed a dedicated Wi-Fi connection, because along with you, Your children are also going through online classes through schools or their own colleges. So this was a humongous, I would say, shift in getting all these people online. And the next challenge was to have a timetable which was remotely realized, and then to ensure that all the attendees, like even here as a courtesy, I've switched on my video, but the students, they log on, and half of them, I'm sure, are doing whatever they're doing. And it takes a while for students to understand that attendance is a secondary thing. It is being present and going through the lectures online and in this challenging times. So that was a huge issue for majority of our teachers.
Right.
And see, somebody like me, I engage maybe 2 hours a day, one PG course, one undergraduate course. But a student in my, let us say, the final year class is looking at a 6 hour stretch.
Yeah.
And we had to sometimes tweak our timetables, because for anybody, including probably you and me, we need to sympathize with our students.
Yes.
That
Yes.
we might be spending only 2 hours per day as far as contact hours are concerned.
Yeah.
Of course, being head of the department, I've got admin responsibilities, so I have other meetings that I engage in. But a student, after 6 hours, gets drained completely.
Yeah. True. True. True.
So that is one aspect. I think the teaching community or the faculty community need to consider that these poor children are going through hell at home. So even if there is a lunch break or a small short recess, they're just probably going to their mummies and daddies. And being Army Institute of Technology, majority of our students are of parents who are serving on the front line or somewhere.
Right. Right.
So, because our institute is only for wards of Army personnel.
Okay. Great.
So some may be retired, some may be in camp or cantonment area, but majority being from serving personnel, they have their own challenges, connectivity issues, networks going down. Somewhere there is probably rainfall or snowfall,
Yeah.
the network getting cut. So the challenges from the faculty side would be getting students to religiously attend and keeping the lectures sustained. But I also saw that some of the kids are facing depression, because looking at a laptop for 6 hours a day, some of the faculty members have also started reporting psychological issues.
True.
You know,
True. That's true.
so whatever the platform, the hardware, the networking, the 40 Mbps line and the 100 Mbps line, all those I think will get addressed, but the psychological issues also need to get addressed, and that is very difficult.
Yes.
So there is a lot more to say, but I think I'll stop here. I've probably captured majority of the points, and
Yes.
I would invite other attendees and colleagues and partners in this academic profession to share a few things also.
Yes.
Thank you
Yes.
very much for the opportunity.
Thank
I
you,
appreciate
Professor.
it.
Thank you, Professor.
Yeah.
So, any other participant would like to say anything on this point? Yes. Any other faculty member, please? Okay, so I hope my slides are visible now. Is it visible?
Sir.
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
they are. The slides are
Okay,
visible.
okay. Thank
I
you.
do.
Thank you. Yes. Any other colleague would like to add something? Okay, okay. Thank you. So,
Hello.
yes, yes, ma'am. Yes.
Hello.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Is it audible, sir?
Yes, ma'am. You are absolutely
Yeah.
audible.
Yeah. Sir, my name is Preeti. I am working as associate professor in MD College of Engineering, Trivandrum.
Okay. Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah,
Professor
so
Preeti, ma'am.
like the professor has told was completely right. I agree with that. So like what happens is the classes what we take actually the problem is from our side also we will also not getting the net during those time and even from the student side also, sir.
Right, 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 right. Yeah, that's
So
true.
always
That's
there
true.
will be, yeah, always there will be no continuity problem will be there, sir.
Yes, 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 yes. That's true. That's true.
Yeah, in the subject wise also, and also during taking classes during those time also, there is a continuity problem is there. So that is what I would
Yes,
say.
yes, yes, yes. Yes, Professor. Yes, right. Thank you. Thanks for your input.
Thank you, sir.
Yes. Okay, okay. Thank you. So, any other faculty would like to give any other input? Okay, thank you. So, I also really agree with the issues that both of the professors, Professor Sanjeev and Professor Preeti, has raised. So basically, we also face these issues. Am I audible? I hope I'm audible, right? And the screen is visible. So if any time you are not able to hear me or there is any screen issue, then you can interrupt me in between, right? So the challenges are basically handled with different learnings that you are having with your different colleagues and their experiences. I will briefly tell you one thing. As I can see, the one challenge is that there is some electricity cut occasionally that is happening, as Professor Sanjeev has specified. For that purpose, we tried at least like we can never compensate the online teaching, offline teaching. There is no substitute for that. I agree with that, right? However, we are very much attracted to online teaching and online activities these days. But I really believe that classroom teaching, blackboard teaching, and face-to-face interaction is always required, and there is no substitute for that. So whatever we can do in these scenarios is that we can try to make the things just like the artificial trying to do the effort to make the
We have lost the audio.
I think
I think we have lost the audio.
yes, yes, there is some problem. I'm contacting the there's some network issue.
Oh, I think there was some network issue. So that's the side effect of online teaching. And in between, a lot of interruption might be there. Uh, up to which point you were able to listen me, I am not sure. So I am sharing my screen again. Is it audible? Is it visible? Is it visible?
Yes, it is.
Okay, okay. Thank you, thank you. So I was discussing about the observations and challenges that Professor Sanjeev has specified, Professor Preeti has specified. So to handle those challenges, ultimately, one thing is there, like that the one of the issue that was specified is about the electricity cut. That is very big issue, and in the remote areas, in the villages when the students are living, that is a very big issue. On the as I was specifying, there is no substitute for the classroom teaching. Our basic effort in the online teaching is to make it approaching to the offline teaching or classroom teaching. We can never make any substitute for that. So for handling these issues also, like electricity cut, we try to have some solutions. Right, one of the way that we were able to handle this issue was that we were providing them with the recorded lectures, right? But in that case also there was one issue that we tried to handle a little bit, and that issue was mainly that in those cases also the size of file which is being transferred to the student was larger in size. Like if it is a 1 hour lecture and we are delivering it with the help of Microsoft Teams or WebEx, then the size of a 2 hour or 1 hour lecture will be in GB, at least 0.5 GB or 1 GB. And if the students are having very low bandwidth, then it will be very difficult for them to download. So to handle that issue, some of us tried to transfer the content in the form of PPTs only. And in PPT also these days, there are some facilities, some tools are available, and within the Microsoft PowerPoint as well, this is there, where you can have the voice recording. So in that case, a sort of lecture is recorded in the background and your PPTs can carry it. Right, so that is one help that we can do. In that case, size of file is very small in size, and student can download it easily. So that is the one thing that we try to do. Right, I will never say that it can make the things 100% perfect, but up to a level it can help. And this thing we tried with the students as well, as the issue is not only with the students. In most of the platform, we are just talking about the issues of the students. Right, but we should understand, as Sanjeev was also saying, that there are psychological issues with the faculty members as well. Right, so to make the life of faculty members a little bit easier, like one thing that in online teaching what we are doing, most of the time we are listening to the presentations many times apart from the lectures. Like if we want to take any viva or we want to take the presentation of any project, most of the time we are listening to them through the screen. So screen time is very much increased nowadays. So to handle that issue also, we try to get the audio embedded PPTs from the students. So as per our time requirement, as per our comfort, we are able to listen them right? And as and when there is live presentation, we can be a little bit aware about the things already, and we might have a little bit of input already. So screen attention will be little bit lesser. Screen time will be almost same, but attentively attending the screen all the time is more sort of having psychological effect on the human being as a faculty, as compared to like if we are aware about the things already and we want to clarify few things during the presentations. So that is the second thing we try to do to handle the psychological issues of faculty as well as students, and to give the more time of specifying the things to the faculty member, to the students. So that was one thing.
Yeah, if I can
Yes.
interject
Please.
here.
Yeah.
As far as teaching is concerned, I would like to share another tangible thing where I think the online mode caused a real disruption, and that is the practicals and tutorials.
Yeah.
Because, you know, the practical outlook into the sessions
Yes.
has been a real challenge. I mean, however, I try to advocate that faculty should be in the laboratories and maybe have a video session
Yeah.
using even the smartphone and demonstrate certain things. Uh, it has been a challenge.
Yes.
Uh,
Yes. Yes.
then let us say the final year uh, group of students, we insist that in their final year projects, they would leverage our workshops and get the prototypes made. That has been a challenge.
Yes. 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 Yes.
So on these two fronts, I think the students have really faced immense psychological kind of thing that
Yes. 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 True.
uh,
True.
analytically we are using a lot of modeling, a lot of simulation tools. Analytically, we are doing stuff. Numerically, we are addressing things. But the
Yeah.
final product of making a prototype,
Yes.
and
Yes.
we had to unfortunately change our outlook and deliverables that at least have a manufacturing drawing done in all respect. So that
Right.
way, somehow, but it has not been easy. And I do want to share this experience with all the you as well
Yes.
as the
Yes. Yes.
audience.
Yeah.
I
That's
had a
great.
student in third year last
Yeah.
year,
Yeah.
and we monitored the attendance every month. And
Okay.
repeatedly, this student was showing 2%, 1% attendance. So, from the mentoring perspective, the faculty was in touch. The student doesn't have a father, so his mother is everything for him. So we were talking to the mother as to what happened, and
Right.
obviously I'm not going to name the student.
Yeah.
Uh, but to make a long story short, one fine day, this guy carried his laptop, his mobile phone, his textbooks,
Right.
and went to the river which was in his village, और उसका सारा विसर्जन कर दिया. Uh, Extremely disturbing experience, and we had to get involved and help the mother in psychologically mentoring the student. Finally, I convinced him, let's forget about your third year. Let's think about you repeating the third year, and he's doing that right now. But can you imagine what must be his mental state to go through something like that? And financially, most of these students are quite challenged. So buying another laptop, another smartphone, books, etc., was to be a challenge, not to mention the annual fees and everything else that was paid. So I want to request and urge the community which is in the audience that teachers and the faculty do have psychological issues, but students, even though they are young, are also going through tremendous amount of issues. So somewhere, some kind of a mentoring, little bit of loosening session, allowing them 5 minutes of break, let them go around, stretch a little bit. Even the faculty should go take a little bit of a walk and come back and engage in 5 minutes. All these things are also very important, in my opinion. Okay, I just wanted to share this reality with the community. Thanks again.
Yes, yes. Yeah, that's the issue that everybody is facing. Yeah, am I audible?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes, sir.
Okay, okay.
Yes, sir.
So that's true, Professor Sanjeev. Yeah, that's the issue that everybody is facing. So, and these psychological issues are very difficult to handle. And even like you can see that I am also having network interruption in between, and it's one of the like high bandwidth network that we have in the institute. So it is really frustrating for us as well, and really embarrassing. So this happens occasionally, and sometimes it's like when we really require that, then the things are failure. So that's the issue always. And to handle these issues, I will give some input from my side, as we were trying to handle these issues at our institute as well. So one thing is that we can be very comfortable and discuss the things. And second, that I specified that we should be motivated for our purpose, and then we can try to do the efforts. Mentoring is one of the things that I will discuss, as Professor Sanjeev has specified, that it's very essential and most important component these days. One thing that I have very much seen, mostly in the very young generation who are teaching in the higher education institutions, and they are not very much motivated for the teaching. Not all. One thing should be very well understood. I'm not talking about everyone. I'm talking about few individuals who are many times saying that we have joined the profession because I'm not getting anything. Especially in many engineering institutions, I have seen that type of thing. So first thing is that to handle these issues that we are facing, instead of frustration, if we are motivated for our job, then that is more important. Then you will automatically find many issues. So whatever you are doing, like your profession, whatever you are doing, like if you are a teacher, try to involve in the teaching, try to find the solutions in the teaching. What I have seen these days, I am going to very basic problem. What I have seen these days in teaching, it's not only teaching these days, it's teaching plus research, right, in all the institutions, right? One thing we should understood is that our primary job is teaching, right? So our most effort should be on the teaching side. However, due to some policies that might not be very much recognized, right? I am speaking very frankly, right? But we try to understand that we can get a good satisfaction if we are devoting a good time of effort and personal attention to your teaching activity. Because there are so many things that we need to understand. One is that a teacher is not just like any other profession, right? In any other profession, whatever you are doing, if you are a scientist, if you are an administrator, then your responsibilities are very much defined. Well-defined responsibilities and activities are there. But as a teacher, your responsibilities are very much broadened. You have so many responsibilities, and you also need to be a role model for the students, because you are being observed by not many students all the time. So that is an important point. You cannot, even if as a human being, we are also a human being. As a human being, there might be some positive points in us, but there might be some weaknesses as well. There might be some negative points as well, but as a faculty, we cannot show those negative points to the students. That is very important. In handling the class, in handling the online teaching, this issue is very important. If you are frustrated, if you are having some psychological problem in online teaching, and you are showing it to the students that yes, this is the problem that I am facing, then it is very difficult to handle the situation in the class. It is almost sure that students will not be giving attention to that teacher. This is true, like due to many psychological issues, many psychological studies are there, right? Secondly, try not to share your personal life, personal frustrations, personal issues. There are many problems if you are sharing it in online mode especially. You might have seen that many times screen is being recorded by the students, so that might create a lot of problem for you. Secondly, even if they are not recording the screen, your personal image before the students will be hurt, and it can create problem in future. Even if you are delivering your content properly, nobody will be going to give any good attention, right? So that is very important thing. So that's why this is a platform where almost all the faculty members or senior students are there, and we can share the things here, such type of platforms, instead of sharing with your class. So that is one important. Like if we are doing this responsibly, then many of the problems and challenges in the online teaching will be solved, right? Second thing, as was raised by Dr. Sanjeev as well, the personal mentoring, personal attention to the individual students is required. In online mode, this is very much important. As you can see, this example, this case study that is raised by Dr. Sanjeev. Similarly, we have seen many such issues which happened with the students. Right, like in the offline mode, as a faculty member, we are habitual of looking upon the faces of the students, reading the faces of students, and are able to know whether they are understanding the things that we are delivering or not. It's the habit of a teacher, right? And many times, even by face reading, we are able to know what are the problems with those students. There might be personal problems, there might be technical problems. We are able to know their weaknesses as well as strengths. So as if we are keeping the video on for all the students, then there will be bandwidth issue in many of the cases. If we are not keeping the video on, then we are not able to read the fixes. And even if we are keeping the video, it is very difficult to give the personal attention. So to handle these issues, I will be reaching to the simulation part ultimately after, because all these are important even if you are doing the, if you are teaching the laboratory component with the help of simulations. To handle these issues, what we tried to have very small groups in the class. Like I will not say that my class strength is very small. My class strength is almost 150, right? But we try to have these smaller groups of like 5 to 6 students, right? And we have a little bit extended tutorial hours. And in those 5, like if I was using the Teams, so I created the channels, individual channels. So almost 25 to 30 channels were there for a class. So for each of the channel, I allotted a time slot of 5 to 10 minutes, and we joined to each of the channel individually. So in those 5 to 10 minutes, we are able to discuss with them personally. Right, and it's not that we are doing it daily. We are doing it occasionally, like in a week, sometimes in the initial days of classes. Then it can be after 10 days, every 10 days. Then it can be every 15 days. So in those cases, we are handling their issues, and many times we are handling their strengths as well. There might be some input from their side as well, some technical strengths, and you will be happy to see that like during this period itself, we were we were able to groom so many good problems from those young guys, because they are having many good problems, they are having many good inputs in many different scenarios I will discuss with you, right? And we are able to handle the issues with the weak students as well. We were able to develop some very good softwares, right, through these small discussions itself. They were having very good ideas, so we were able to materialize them, right? So there are many different benefits that you can gather by these small discussions. As these are closed groups, so students are also very frankly discussing things. And second thing that I will tell you, that these small groups were not based on the roll numbers or enrollment numbers. We set the students that you can form the groups as per their wish. So I just need 4 or 5 students, and in many cases only 2-3 students were there. They were just comfortable with them only. So there were just like friendly groups that were formed. So in that way, many things are solved. Some weak students were getting friendship and mentorship along with each other, right? And you will see that like the students who have joined first year in the last year, they have never met with each other. So through these groups, at least they were able to meet, and as I got the feedback from the students, that they were continuing those discussions even afterward. After I left, after 5-6 minutes, I left that discussion, and they were continuing on their own. So that is very important to handle the psychological issues, as well as to handle their personal problems as well. In many cases, even their family problems were discussing. So comfortable were the students among each other. So friendly they are getting. Some technical problems as well. So we were able to give the personal attention to the weak students as well. But during all these things, like even if it is a big class, you are taking 150 students at a time, or you are doing the mentoring in the small groups, in all the cases, one thing that we need to take care is that we should not criticize one before all others, or we should not criticize. Along with that, we should not much appreciate the one. That is also very important thing these days. The reason being, when we are doing all these things in the classroom, then in those cases, we are able to make a balance, right? But when we are doing the things in the online mode, we are not knowing what the other person is listening, what that person is understanding, what is the effect of our appreciation on that, and what is the effect of our appreciation of one student on the others. We don't know, right? So we need to make a balance during the online teaching about all these things, right? And during all these things, one important point is that we need to listen their problems. Many times I have seen that the basic point is that we are not many times listening their problems. So these small groups are very effective in the sense that we are able to listen their problems individually. That gives them a lot of satisfaction. You will try to appreciate one thing. Many times students are just thirsty of the point that yes, somebody should listen my problem, and automatically they know the solution as well the same moment, but they just want to verify it, right? Second thing is listen their suggestions. This is more important these days. They know the psychology of their classmates, and many times it is useful to you as well, right? Listen their solutions. Many times in even the problems that you are facing in conducting the class, they know the solution. They know the audience in better way as compared to you. So many times they are giving very good solution. I have faced it many times. Like initially when we started with the online teaching about more than a year back, then like I was keeping the chat room open all the time, right? So many students were complaining later on that the other students keeps on sending them messages, so they are distracted. So it is their own issues. Like in the small mentoring, we are able to know that yes, they are able to say that yes, that student keeps on sending the message, and in that I am distracted, I am not able to listen to your lecture properly, I am not able to give the proper attention. So some might be very much interested in the class, some might not be so much interested. It's happening. So for that also we have not kept the attendance requirement. So attendance free is there, but even then, if there is a personal attention and you are keeping them engaged very well, then lot of people, lot of students are returning. And in most of my courses, I am not aware about the others, I have not seen much difference in the attendance when the attendance was compulsory and when the attendance is not compulsory. In both the cases, not much difference in the attendance is there. So in many cases, they will be suggesting the solutions, and that can give you better experience, and that will give the both like satisfactory situation, win-win situation is there. So most of the time, one thing should be understood, that these are higher education students. These are not small kids, right? So these are some of the characteristics that formally I have written, but everybody is knowing that. Most of the time, they are autonomous and self-directed, right? In most of the cases, they have just a foundation of basic knowledge. They know something already about the basic things. They are always. So all these, as we also are faculty members, we expect the same type knowledge and same type of practice from these students. It's not that bad traits from the point of a teacher. Many times we are saying that self-directed, he can do everything. We got hearted from that point. But no, it's positive for us as well, because we also expect that. So corresponding to these attributes, there are some implications that we have to take care during the online discussions. As they are self-directed, they are autonomous. So these days, just by giving the lecture will not be able, that will not be the final responsibility of the faculty. There are so many implications corresponding to that. As they also are self-directed, they are autonomous, we need to involve them as a participants, right? We need to listen them, right? We need to determine the interest of the students, that what actually they are interested in, what type of problems they are facing. They are more interested in these type of assignments, where they are not interested in other type of assignments. So we need to little bit adapt our discussions and teaching style, right? We are ultimately serving as a facilitator to them in the online mode. Just by lecturing is not our responsibility. We need to see that whatever we are delivering, the overall objective of that course is fulfilled. So these are these things we need to take care. Similarly, like they have some basic knowledge. Like even if a student is joining your first year and you are teaching them a programming course, so they are already having some basic knowledge of programming from the 12th class. If you are teaching, let us consider chemistry, they already know a little bit about the chemistry from up to their 12th education. So if we are teaching them by making their basic knowledge as a foundation for your current subject, then it is normally appreciated by the students. And we as a teacher know that it's not that that was a sort of different type of knowledge and my current subject is really different. We can always make a layer on the existing foundation. And that will make the life very easy for the students as well as, right? It's happening in every course. Like whatever students knows up to second year, and when you are started teaching the third year, then in the fifth semester, like then always you can make a foundation from whatever they know from their first year and second year. You can start from that, right? So it will make the life very easy for students as well as you. And it will be respect to their foundational knowledge as well. Like if you are always saying that no, whatever, I don't know what you have learned in the chemistry up to your 12th. No, my topic is really different. That will create the problem, because truly we know that the foundation that they have, that is the basic layer on which everything we are putting in our higher study. Similarly, if there is some course, let us consider data structure in first year, that is taught, and then you are teaching the algorithms, and then you are trying to make a different thing, and then trying to say, okay, leave about whatever you know from data structure. I have not taught that course to you. Now the things is this one. So that will not going to help you and the student. We need to see that there might be some issue in the understanding of student at their foundational level. We need to tell them that yes, this is the issue. You can go through that. Yes, that point is okay, and you need to you can always correlate the things with the foundational knowledge. Similarly, we have to be very much organized, and whatever we are teaching, its objective should be very much clear, right? Relevancy is very important these days. Like whatever we are teaching, if the students feel that it is not relevant to their future, then they are not going to listen, right? Even like in this course also, in this class itself, in this lecture itself, if you will find that it is not relevant to me, then you are not going to listen, right? Or maybe you will be just keeping it on, and you will not give any attention things. So relevancy oriented behavior is very important, and that can be imparted, that whatever you are teaching, whatever you are making them to learn, you are trying to specify them that yes, in this way, this is relevant to your job. Whatever you will join, this job you will join possibly, and in this way, this will be useful. Like if I am teaching software engineering, I can tell that yes, this topic that I am teaching about COCOMO model, this will be useful after 4 or 5 years of your service in the industry, when you will be at the project management level, right? Just after joining, if you are expecting that it will be useful, no, it will not be useful. And at the time of the project manager level itself, when you will find, when you will have to do the cost estimation for the software, then this model will be useful, and may not be that you will directly use COCOMO model, but whatever we are teaching in the COCOMO, it will form the basis for the model that you will be using in the industry. Right? Because so many versions are available that are useful in the industry these days. So this is happening in every course, in all the different topics. So that relevance is very important, and that will create the attention of students, even if you are teaching them. Right? They will try to see, yes, it will be useful in mind, because ultimately nowadays everything is job oriented, right? Skill oriented behavior is there. So a skill can be, a topic can be converted into a skill by this way, right? Similarly, this I have already specified that they need to be respected. Their knowledge also need to be respected. If they are wrong, you can correct them, but they want that yes, you listen to them, and if they are specifying something, they are not insulted. They should be encouraged that whatever they know, they are sharing the things. So all these are possible if you are working as a mentor, right? So that's why role of mentoring is very important these days, and it has increased multifold. It keeps, I hope that it will keep on increasing even after the online classes are over. So that's why this is very important point that I want to discuss with all of you. So you need to be a motivator for the weak students and mentor to all the level of students, right? And you need to handle their problems. Counselor role is also very important, as we discussed in different case studies during this discussion, because in many cases, counseling is very important in many cases, especially in the cases of weak students. Like I will give you some examples. One example Dr. Sanjeev has already given. In that case, counseling can help, really, it can be helpful. Similarly, we have some students like one of the student was not attending the classes regularly, like almost same thing that he has specified. So we tried to talk to net is not good, so how I will be. So then I said to him that I'm not able to listen, that is all right, right? Or even if you are having a lot of disconnectivity in between, that is also all right. At least try to join, right? So even his father also talked to me that I think they were having some poor background. So he said that what he will do, internet is not good, so why to spend time on that? So then I requested him that at least let him join, and then let us see what happens. At least let him join, and I will take care of the other things. So then he started to join, and after few days, most of the things started to improve. He was able to listen. Like a lot of hesitancy was there at his handle table, right? Because if in few incidences there was a network problem, then there was a sort of inferiority complex in the student that yes, my mobile is also small in size, my other classmates are having good quality tablets, so what I will do, I am not able to cope up with all these things because these things are very new in their environment in many cases. So then the things started to improve, and he has not appeared in the midterm exam due to this problem only. So there was a second chance which was given to all the students. So I tried to pursue them, and he appeared for the exam. And I tried to tell him that switch on the video continuously. That is compulsory for us for online exam. So he switched on the video, and continuously the things were working very fine. So then he said that, oh sir, I was not thinking that the quality of bandwidth that I am getting in my village will be enough for this purpose. But it was working, it was enough. He just tried once or twice, and he found that it was not proper. So he like surrendered the things. And I was very happy to see, like when he kept the video on, it was just like a hut, a very small house he was living in. So I was really happy for those type of students. I will give like I will appreciate them more than those students who were even joining daily, and uh, they were having so much facilities in their houses. So very small house. You can see the condition of a like house from the camera itself, just like a hut, a very small jhopdi type scene. So that is the encouragement, that is the motivation, that is the benefit that you can do to the students. So in addition to be a teacher, researcher, or facilitator, that type of counseling where we are not doing anything additional for them, we are not giving much more additional time, we are just encouraging them. Like we can take so many examples that is that has happened in the last 1.5 years. I can give so many examples. So most important thing is try to be a human being, right? Because as a human being, you can do all these things, right? It's also our responsibility. It's not only our responsibility is to give lecture for 1 or 2 hours and then left it. No, it's our also responsibility. It's not killing a lot of time, right? It's ultimately giving a lot of satisfaction. I have seen many such things, right? There might be so many success stories at your end as well. I have seen, like in communication skill classes, there were some very shy students, and a lot of issues were there in speaking, public speaking in the classes, right? However, communication skill is not my course. We are from computer science, right? But technical communication skill we were taking somehow in few instances, and students were more happy and more comfortable with that. So that's why few of us started to take that. So I'm not saying that my communication skill is very good, right? But as a teacher, we can at least learn and tell the students that or at least speak something anytime, right? A lot of shyness will be there. So for that, I deputed 2-3 students who were his friend. Basically, she was a girl student, her friend. So they tried to do some conversation, and gradually a lot of improvement were there, and we were very happy for those 2-3 students. And at the end, the outcome was so much satisfactory because technical skill was okay. The only thing was shyness, right? And the command only language. So that also happens many times. Similarly, with some students with much back papers, it happened recently only, and you will be surprised that even in the online mode, those students were able to go through, right? Due to some discussions with their family, that was the positive thing that happened. Otherwise, we were not able to reach them. At their home, we were able to reach to their parents, right? And it's not that these students were not good students, right? But somehow due to some psychological issues or some other problems, they were not performing well, and there were some back papers. So we tried to mentor them gradually, and they were able to get through. So there are so many success stories which happen due to these type of problems, in handling these type of problems. And one thing is that for every problem, we need to find out different solutions. In many cases, for every student, we need to find out different solutions. There are not so many such students, only few of them are there, right? So it might be with you as well. You might also be having so many success stories, but always think that you are changing the life of your family in this case. It's not only life of that student which is improved. I will tell you one instance. You might be saying that sir pata nahi kya kya discuss kar rahe hain. One of our student, he was like the branch opener. Like those students are considered to be very talented. Like in 12th, that student might be having the entry level rank, right? But gradually after first year, something happened. I don't know what the family problem was. That student was not performing well. Well, I will say very bad. So then, in one or two of my courses as well, there was a back. So I called him. He was very good. In the class, he was not like attentive, or he was not listening. But when I personally talked to him, he was very good and very knowledgeable, very good communication skill, very good understanding of the things. So he said that this is not my topic. I am not interested in this engineering things about that. I was really surprised and how the things will happen. So he was very good in some of the other topics. Then I tried to convince him that at least try to pass the degree. Then you can do whatever you want to do, and so many things I tried to convince him. And by all these things, he was a little bit interested. Okay, let I will do. वो बोलता था कि मैं कर लूँगा, उसमें कोई बड़ी बात नहीं है, जब चाहे मैं कर सकता हूँ ये सब. But मैं भी interested नहीं हूँ करने. Simple सी बात. So I said कि when you will do all these things on time, then you will have a lot of time in your life to do the things that you really want. But at least try to do this. So he ultimately completed the things, and when he was interested, he was able to complete 8 to 10 courses in one semester. He was so much good student ultimately. So he passed out, and later on he contacted me after returning, and I then get to know that all of his brothers and sisters in the family, they were like at very highly talented jobs, and he was also able to get a very good job in the area in which he was interested. His sister was a doctor in AIMS Delhi. So much talented, everybody was talented. So his sister also called me that, sir, thanks for this one. We have given up, right? That was the situation. We were not thinking that he will be able to complete the degree. So there were so many psychological issues. He was taking the medicines from AIMS. We have brought him to AIMS and so many things were happening. So that's like आप लोगों ने देखा होगा ना, छोटे बच्चे हैं, our kids, they were am I audible? Yes, am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Okay, okay. Actually, this is the problem in online teaching, madam. ऐसे लगता है जैसे हम अपने आप से बात कर रहे हैं. So that's the problem. आप देखिए होता क्या है ना, जैसे हम लोगों के जो किड्स हैं वो टीचर की ज़्यादा मानते हैं. ये रियल में है ना, कि जैसे आप लोग कुछ कहेंगे आपको नहीं पता, चाहे वो मैथमेटिक्स का सिंपल सा क्वेश्चन हो, जो उनके टीचर ने बताया है क्लास में, उसको वो ज़्यादा बिलीव करते हैं. सेम थिंग इज विद आवर स्टूडेंट्स एज वेल, इवन दो दे आर नॉट स्मॉल किड्स, बट एनी हाउ दे बिलीव यू, right? They believe you whatever you are telling them. So that's why our responsibility will increase multifold. All right. So now coming to the point that we were discussing, there are basically many problems when we are tackling the online education for the laboratory component and tutorial component, where there are some programming practices, right, or the activities related to the, like even chemical engineering, chemistry, physics experiments. In all these cases, there are so many issues which are happening, right? And even we had a lot of meetings in institute, at institute level meetings. I also joined the panel, and most of the faculty members from sciences, they were having so many problems. I really believe that is true. Right, and we can have little bit of solution, but we can never replace the laboratory level assessment and laboratory level activities. Up to a level we can like compromise, we need to compromise, but up to a level we can do the activities with the help of simulators, right? So I will try to discuss all these things. In that case, one thing is very important in all these issues. Actually, learning through simulations is not very new. Learning through simulations were happening even when we were doing the things in offline mode. But at undergraduation level, learning through simulation is possible if the student is able to imagine and is very much interested. So always in class there are different kind of students. So that's why I was going through the different literature on teaching. So I find these phrases which is really giving you the real scenario. Teaching is like fish hook, different love for different fish. Right, so that's why we need to follow the different methods for different kind of learners and different kind of problems. In some cases, the simulators are good. In some cases, real life programming is essential. No simulator can help. Right, so that's why we need to have the amalgamation of all. Amalgamation of all will be helpful to have a successful laboratory component as well. Right, just like a beautiful music where all the instruments when played together in a proper rhythm will create a amazing music. So similarly, to have a proper teaching, we need to take care of all these issues. Right. So basically, there are some things that are very important. I will skip these basic things. One thing is that whatever you are doing to handle these issues, like problem sharing, problem that you have given for the laboratory, one thing is that you should have a proper story, right, which is very important in the online teaching space. So before the laboratory component, you can have a thought sharing sessions among the students. So dependent upon the size of problem, like in our case, in my course, I have given some projects as well, in addition to individual small problems. So for small problems, it can be individual or two students can do together. Any laboratory component, if you are putting some small projects that can be emulating whatever you are teaching in the class, for that sort of small thought sharing sessions can be arranged with the students, group of students who is taking care of that project. So that type of group discussion or debate can be really helpful in ultimately doing the things for laboratory. Right. So that is very important. I have seen a lot of benefit and got a good feedback for this type of activities. What is the scenario? Like if the problem is very straightforward, laboratory problem is very straightforward, then it can be very individualistic. But the real benefit of a laboratory component is when you are putting it with some innovative problems. Like one thing is there, like when you are teaching any theory course, along with that, if you are doing the laboratory, then your laboratory component should be in line with the theory component. Right? If it is really discrete, then there is no correlation and students will be very much confused. Then whenever you are teaching any methodology in the theory, then in the laboratory, try to follow that methodology for doing the thing. Sometimes we are saying that practically तो ये ऐसे ही होता है, theory में वो steps. But try to see that some steps might not be having the output, but they might be affecting the overall quality. So we can tell the students to do that component as well. Right? Third, if the problem is innovative, then the importance of discussions and thought sharing from the different members of the group cannot be overlooked. Even though they might have discussed already with each other, but the discussions before you are many times putting up a really different perspective. Because sometimes some of the input from one of the student might be really interesting and you might give your input as well, then that input might be very important for the other members. So that's why these inputs are very important. The sharing sessions and discussions are very important. So it can be done easily in the online. Similarly, you can hold multiple such discussion sessions and group discussions for the laboratory components. So as it is being done online, so in the offline, ultimately when students are sitting together, they are discussing many things. But if it is to be done in the online mode, simulators will be useful if the students are ultimately understanding the problem very well. So these discussion platforms will give them time, a platform where they are discussing with each other. And then they are doing the actual simulations, right? And these are really useful and very important if you are joining or TAs are joining in these discussions. Otherwise, like nobody is taking care of all these things. They will just say, yeah, it's there, okay, they will join and leave it. They might not be discussing anything. So that's why these type of sessions are very important. Right? So in that, you will also be understanding their problem. Right? Secondly, I am not in very much favor of giving this straightforward problem, like write a program, which is very simple and just like you have studied something in the class, based on that only you have given a direct problem. So those can be done very easily by the students. In those cases, these type of discussions will not be useful. But when you are giving some tricky problems as well as some innovative projects, then in most of the cases, these discussions are very useful and will give you a lot of good learning. One thing that I am telling you, that these things are more inclined where the online programming and programming activities are. If you are doing the things, your work requires to have the material, like in material science or the chemicals, then these things are very difficult to do in the online. But if your work is related to like computer science, information technology, communication technology simulations, or like network simulations, in those cases these things can be done. with the help of simulators. And yes, that is really useful and fruitful as well. So in those cases, it is very important to do all these activities, because that will create a lot of impact on the students about the relationship of theory with the practical. And overall understanding will be clear from this part only. Then they can do that thing, whatever problem they are discussing with the help of simulators, and then they will get the overall idea of the problem. Right? And ultimately it will also make you learn so many things, as to teach is to learn twice. So I'm not going into all these things, because it is said that through lecturing we are just able to deliver or have the knowledge retention rate of 5%, but by practically doing it is up to 75%. And you can see discussion group is very important part in this case, 50%, more than demonstration, more than our PPTs, audio visual aids, right? So this is very important part which is missing in most of the scenarios that I have seen. And for doing all these things, like if you are using some simulator like NS2, NS3, NetSim, many simulators are there. Basically, to handle these laboratory sessions, there are many possible scenarios are there ultimately, but two possible scenarios where you are doing the things with the help of simulators is, one is a live programming, where the simulator is not useful. But if the simulator is there and it is useful, then you can use the simulators. Like if I am teaching Python, like, then there is no need of simulation. I can directly teach the Python through my desktop system or any laptop system, and I can teach the students, not a problem. But if I am trying to teach them some network protocols, right, or whatever I was doing through network kits, I want to teach them to the students, then there is the use of simulators. I was giving one example earlier, like in this case, simulators are not only useful in teaching, but it is also useful in research. Like you are teaching some course on IoT. So nowadays, like IoT devices will not be accessible to the students if they are living at their homes. So then some sort of simulations will be useful. Sensor network simulations were very famous since many years, so they can be useful. Right, so like you need to see that always we are not using simulation, we are using simulation where the live activities cannot be done. Like virtual labs is one of the initiative of Government of India, that is also very helpful in doing all these things. So in all these activities, like it's ranging from computer science usage to all the different domains, like for network simulation, you can use NS2, NS3, NetSim, many tools. I am not going to teach those tools. You know it very well. Like for Android and malware, you can use the simulators as well. Like they might not be having the Android device. Like they might not be. They have just one mobile phone. And if you are doing the Android malware analysis, then that will also be corrupted. If you are doing the real-time analysis of the malware on your Android device. So better to use the simulator, and it can be done in the online mode as well. You can teach them in the online mode, you can share the screen, right? Similarly, IoT simulations, in geomatics also a lot of simulations can happen, in biotechnology also. Like in all the safety critical systems, you can do the things in with the help of simulators. But how to teach them through the simulators? For that you need to have the technological intervention. Like I can give you one example. Like instead of window sharing, do the screen share. Like in this case also, like when you are in this case, when I am meeting, I have done the window sharing. So you will see most of the online mode, there are two options which are given when you are sharing the screen. One is sharing. I hope you can see my screen. Then there are two options. One is sharing window, and second is sharing screen. So in the window sharing, only the window that you shared will be visible. When you minimize it, then nothing will be visible to the students. But when you are sharing the screen, then whatever is active on the screen will be visible to them. So through that, we can teach almost all the programming courses, all the simulators to the students, very easy. like they can try to imitate it on their screen. Like I hope now you are able to see my Google Meet screen. Are you? Which screen are you able to see? I hope you are seeing my Google Meet screen, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yes. So because I have shared my screen, whatever will be active on my screen, it will be visible. So like now my slides are visible. Now my home desktop is visible. So let us consider I opened the Cisco WebEx. It will be visible to you. Now I open the Microsoft Teams, so it will be visible to you. So whatever you want to have, it will be visible to you. Like consider that it's a simulator. So I can do whatever action I will do, it will be displayed before. Like you can see. So I think now you should be able to see my course class CSN 291, right? Yes. Are you able to see it?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So that's the benefit. Like in basically Google Meets, there are some options like whiteboard. I'm using WebEx and Teams, so more options are there, available there. So you can comfortably do the things there. So like on this, even you can make this screen and write on it as per your need. Right? I'm not aware about this in Google Meet, but in Teams and WebEx it is there. So whatever I will do, it will be visible to you. So along with that, like even you can open a paintbrush, simple, very simple thing, right? So along with that, both of the windows can be there. So you can keep on making the things clear by doing, and whatever you want to draw, you can do it here, right? So in this case, like you want to make any circuit or whatever you want to specify, then you can do it. Now you must be able to see my paintbrush screen, right? Are you able to see? Yes. So in this way, it will make the things better to you, right? And you can emulate it, whatever you want. All the different simulators can be taught through this methodology, right? So what only thing is you need to do the screen share, right? So like if you want to teach Eclipse, you can easily do. There are so many IDs which are available. You can do the things very well. All the simulators can be taught in this way, right? So this is one of the methodology that you can use to make the things better for the students and to teach all these things to the students. Similarly, in most of the tools that you are using in online mode, there is a raise your hand option. So raise your hand option can be utilized for many purposes. Like if you are keeping all the audience on, like unmuted, then it will create problem because it will create a lot of noise. But if you are keeping only the only the raise your hand option, all are muted, and you will say that only whoever is having issue will raise your hand. So whoever is raising the hand, you can allow them to unmute, and you can ask the problem. Similarly, even the raise your hand option can be used for asking the questions, like you are asking in the class. Like you will ask any question, then you will say whoever is knowing, raise your hand. Then you can ask anyone for the answer. So it will create a scenario just like you are teaching them in the class, right? Similarly, for majority decisions also, like whatever decision you want to take, raise your hand can be used. Like you need to explore the options which are available in your corresponding tool for the purpose of telling them how to use the simulators, how to learn the simulators, right? How to make the things happen. Like in, I think in Teams, it is the annotator tools are there. Like in Zoom also it is there, I think. So then on the screen itself, you are able to, in WebEx it is there, you are able to do the changes, right? So all these possibilities can help you to teach all these things, all the different simulators in better, right? So that's all for today's discussion, right? But this is not the end of the discussion. Now the next point is that whatever you have faced using these simulators, if you are using it, then you are most welcome. These things I have specified you from the academic perspective. But if you are facing the problems with the research scholars, like you are guiding the scholars, like especially in the sensor network problems, IoT problems, if the problem is given of IoT area, then you need to do a little bit of modification in the problem so that they are able to fulfill the need with the help of simulators, right? So that has to be done, because in many of our research committees in our institute as well, the committees in which I was part, I know that we need to do a little bit of adaptations, right? Because real life, real time assessment in the lab and availability in the lab might not be possible all the time due to this COVID situation. So some sort of simulators in these scenarios can be helpful to fulfill your research objectives, right? So all these things are very important from the academic and research point of view in both the cases, and these simulators are finding a very great use. And I believe that in all the upcoming lectures, you will be learning so many things about the simulation and simulators, how to use them. I have just tried to put the perspective that how you can learn and teach the simulators in the online. That was the basic objective, right? So that's all, and your views are more than welcome. If you have used some simulators and you find some problems in online delivery, you can share your stories. Thank you. Yes, anyone please. Any question, if any of you is having any question, you can please ask. If you have any view, you can please give your views. Yes. Anyone want to give any view? You are more than welcome. If any question is there from the discussions that we had, you can tell me. So I hope you will be getting lot many things about the simulation and online learning in all the further lectures. Thank you. Yes, any question? Anyone? Okay, thank you, ma'am. Yeah, thank you, Professor. Thank you, Yadukondalu. Thank you, Professor. Thank you. Yeah, thank you, Professor Raja. Thank you, Professor Mangesh. So I will try to share the things with you. Yeah, for writing on the PPT, there is no separate tool required. Like I can show you, like I am sharing my screen with all of you again, right?
Thank you, Sandeep ji. Thank you very much.
Yeah, so
Uh,
like I have shared the screen again with you.
so,
So when you
any
will put
queries
the full
and
screen, yes, Professor Hers, I am trying to answer one of the query. So Professor Mangesh, like you can see, I have shared the screen with you. So when you will right click on the screen, there are so many options. So point presenter view, then screen, black screen, white screen, then pointer option is there, laser pointer, pen, right? All these things. So like when you are sharing the screen, as I said, like if like let us consider your simulator is open. Like one thing is that before you're teaching the simulator, you can make some PPTs. So you can put up the snapshot of those simulators on those PPTs and then move on to the real presentation by sharing the screen as I have shown you in that way. And then in that case, like highlighter option is there, you can do in this way. All right, so you can in this way you can annotate it. In WebEx there is annotation option, so that is also can be used. In Google Teams I am showing you, right? You can change in color as well. You can use the pen option as well. So all these things can be useful to make the things more interactive. All right. So did you got my point? Okay, Mangesh. Thank you. Yeah, any other question? Yeah, Amrutha ma'am, you are not audible. Okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you, Professor Hers. Yeah, am I audible? Am I audible? Anyone can please tell me?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You are audible.
Okay. Thank you. So I think there is some problem at Professor Amrutha's end. She is not audible. She want to say something. Anyway, you can message whatever you want to know. Okay. Okay. Thank you. Thanks to all of you. Thank you. Yes, Professor Hers. I think it's over.
बार बार सबके सामने यही करते हैं अभी तो वहाँ से डिसीजन आना चाहिए उसके लिए तो वही है ना कि हर चीज में जो है हम लोग सैलरी का मतलब
Yes, Professor Hers.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, sir.
If participant, if you have any queries and suggestion, kindly mail us all these things. And for the feedback and attendance, for the attendance, it is automatically recorded, and in the end of the day, we will collect the attendant from the Google Meet software. So no need for any Google form and all these things. And for the feedback, AICT feedback is required mandatory at the end of the FDP. So we will not collect any feedback for the each session and all these things. Okay. So if you have any queries and suggestion, kindly mail us. And thank you, Dr. Sandeep ji. Very nice presentation, very nice lecture. And we will also invite you for the other lectures in the next FDPs. All so now this is the end of the session, and all participants are requested to join at 3 o'clock. Professor Pramod Kumar Tiwari from IIT Patna will with us for his expert lecture. So thank you all participants, Sandeep ji, and all
Thank
of
you,
you.
sir. Thank you. So I can leave now, right?
Okay, okay. Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, participants, you may also leave now, and please join with the same link at 3 o'clock. And the one thing I will like to discuss you that some participants are joining with the other mail ID rather than they provided us for the registration. So it may be some problems for collecting their attendance. So it is advisable that please join with the same mail ID which you have provided for the registration. And also, if you are using a different mail ID, then today which mail ID you used, I admitted I have not rejected anyone, but kindly use same mail ID which used today. Don't use the different mail IDs for different session or different days. Okay, so it will be feasible for us to collecting the attendance. Any queries or regarding session or link or quality of service, all these things? Okay, so we will meet again at 3 o'clock. Okay, thank you all.
Thank you.